Episode 76, The Mandela Effect and Deja Vu. Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara. Welcome to my channel Rewriting the Reality. The purpose of this channel is to remind you how we create our reality, and that time is simultaneous. Subscribe to this channel to be well informed about the shift in consciousness we are experiencing. People love mysteries, and in today's episode 76 I am going to delight you with a recent mystery that I learned watching the Next Level Soul podcast with Alex Ferrari and Daryl Anka, known as Bashar. This video was watched by 229,689 people. First, I am grateful to Alex Ferrari because his podcast is confirming what I am telling you on my channel. Yesterday, I finally paid attention to the Mandela effects, and I want to share it with you. It all started when Alex mentioned the case of Fruit of the Loom commercial, because I remember the logo with the cornucopia and the fruits. But now it seems that the cornucopia was never part of the logo. Then Derry mentioned the cases of deja vu, and immediately I connected all of this with the simultaneity of time. My first episode was named The Nature of Time. I chose it because our reality is intrinsically connected with simultaneous time. Let's get into the Mandela effect and look at some famous examples, as well as some potential explanations for this strange confluence of perceptions that can help to shed light on this unique phenomenon. The term Mandela effect was first coined in 2009 by Fiona Broome when she created a website to detail her observance of the phenomenon. Broome was at a conference talking with other people about how she remembered the tragedy of former South African President Nelson Mandela's death in a South African prison in the 1980s. Something I believe too. However, Nelson Mandela did not die in the 1980s in a prison, he passed away in 2013. As Broome began to talk to other people about her memories, she learned that she was not alone. Others remembered seeing news coverage of his death as well as a speech by his widow. Broome was shocked that such a large mass of people could remember the same identical event in such detail when it never happened. Encouraged by her book publisher, she began her website to discuss what she called the Mandela effect and other incidents like it. The story of Nelson Mandela is not the only example of this type of supposed false group memory. As the concept of the Mandela effect grew along with Broome's website, other group false memories began to emerge. People had a memory of a painting of Henry VIII eating a turkey leg, though no such painting has ever existed. There have, however, been similar cartoons created. If you saw Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, you probably remember Darth Vader uttering the famous line, "Luke, I am your father." You might be surprised to learn, then, that the line was actually, "No, I am your father." Most people have memories of the line being the former rather than the latter. If you watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you probably remember the line, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" You may be shocked to learn, then, that the line actually began with the phrase "magic mirror on the wall" instead. There is some controversy over the spelling of the famous brand of hot dogs, Oscar Mayer Wieners. Some people claim to remember the brand being spelled Meyer instead of Mayer, the correct spelling. Where is New Zealand in relation to Australia? If you look at a map, you will see that it is southeast of the country. However, there is a community of people who claim to remember New Zealand being northeast instead of southeast. The famous children's book series Berenstain Bears is not immune to the Mandela effect. Many people report remembering the name being the Berenstain Bears, spelled with an E instead of an A. This is similar to the Oscar Mayer issue and hints at perhaps an underlying cognitive reason for the Mandela effect instead of parallel realities, as some people believe. One of the most well-known examples of the Mandela effect is the collective memory of a movie called Shazam that starred the actor/comedian Sinbad in the 1990s. In fact, no such movie exists, although there was a children's movie called Kazam and some other coincidences that could help to explain how this movie became created, or remembered, in many people's minds. Remember that science confuses the brain with the mind. I already proved that this is incorrect in a few episodes. Many people report remembering Pikachu, a Pokemon character, as having a black-tipped tail. In reality, the character has always had a solid yellow tail. Mickey Mouse might be the most famous cartoon character in the world, but even Disney's famous mouse is often misremembered in the minds of fans. People often report the character wearing suspenders when he does not. A more likely explanation for the Mandela effect involves false memories. Before we consider what is meant by false memories, let's look at an example of the Mandela effect, as it will help us to understand how memory can be faulty and may lead to the phenomenon that we are describing. Who was Alexander Hamilton? Most Americans learned in school that he was a founding father of the United States of America, but that he was not a president. However, when asked about the presidents of the United States, many people mistakenly believe that Hamilton was a president. Why? I have telling you that our memories are not stored in the brain, but neuroscience believe that. Let's hear the explanation. The memory for Alexander Hamilton is encoded in an area of the brain where the memories for the presidents of the United States are stored. The means by which memory traces are stored is called the engram, and the framework in which similar memories are associated with each other is called the schema. So when people try to recall Hamilton, this sets off the neurons in close connection to each other, bringing with it the memory of the presidents. Though this is an oversimplified explanation, it illustrates the general process. When memories are recalled, rather than remembered perfectly, they are influenced to the point that they can eventually become incorrect. In this way, memory is unreliable and not infallible. You see, this is completely nonsense. That is why I insist that our sciences are not accurate and that they give us incorrect information. One theory for the basis for the Mandela effect originates from quantum physics and relates to the idea that rather than one timeline of events, alternate realities or universes may be taking place and mixing with our timeline. That is the right answer. In this theory, this would result in groups of people having the same memories because the timeline has been altered as we shift between these different realities. You aren't alone if you think this sounds unrealistic. Unfortunately, the idea of alternate realities is unfalsifiable, meaning there is no way to disprove that these other universes don't exist truly. This is why such a far-fetched theory continues to gain traction among the Mandela effect communities. You can't prove it's not real, so you can't discount the possibility of it. For many people, the excitement of a bit of mystery in everyday life also likely comes into play. During the 1990s, I remembered going to a bookstore. I spent around $300 on a few books. When I was leaving the store, a book called my attention, written by Richard Bach. 2 months later, I returned to buy the book, and it resulted that the book didn't exist. But I had it in my hands for 2 to 3 minutes. The same is true regarding the phenomenon we call déjà vu, that it is real and proves that time is simultaneous. In my episode 75 about Jesus' history, I mentioned that Jesus survived the crucifixion. I have another history in which he was never crucified because Judas hid him and replaced him with another person. I hope that this episode will raise your curiosity because that can help you to expand your awareness. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.